Hello, my name is Alan Davis. I have the honor to serve as President and Vice Chancellor at Kwantlen Polytechnic University. At KPU, we work, study and live in a region south of the Fraser River which overlaps with the traditional and ancestral lands of the Hunkamanum and Senchothan-speaking peoples. And we are grateful to the indigenous peoples for sharing their land with us in friendship and in peace. On this, the first National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, it is important for those of us who are uninvited settlers in this land to do more than simply recognize the profound and unacknowledged loss of life and culture and ways of being as a result of colonization, especially the thousands of lives of the missing residential school children. If we are looking for something to do today, let's go back to the 94 calls to action from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and ask why, after 6 years, there has been so much talk but such little action. We must set aside our platitudes and take time to listen and to learn and to read, and in partnership with the indigenous peoples, to figure out what actions are needed for true justice to be served and for true healing to begin. And we can remind ourselves at KPU how honored we are to have the Kwantlen name bestowed upon our university.
Good day, my dear friends. My name is Lakaitan. I'm Elder in Residence at Kwantlen Polytechnic University. I'm starting my 6th season with them here at the university as well. I live here on the Kwantlen First Nation as an elder. I live on the sacred ground of the Kwantlen First Nation peoples, and I am very much aware of the truth and reconciliation time that we're about to learn about.
Good day everyone and welcome. My name is Len Pierre, my ancestral name is Palikwuluk, and I am Coast Salish from Katzie First Nation. And I have the honor of being the Special Advisor for Indigenous Leadership, Partnership and Innovation at KPU.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Anaquad. I am Nehiyu and Anishinaabe from Treaty 4 territory in Saskatchewan, from a community called Muscopeding. And I have been very blessed to grow up here on Coast Salish territory. Currently, I hold 2 roles at KPU. I teach in Indigenous Studies and in Language and Culture, teaching a Cree, an Introduction to Cree course, and I am an educational consultant holding the Indigenization portfolio.
Tanshi Kiawao, Rachel Dishnakashon, Delta Niwikwen, St. Boniface Doshin. I'm grateful to Joshua Morin from Michip Cultural Connections for teaching me Michip, the language of my maternal grandfather, the Métis people. My connection to KPU is I'm the Indigenous Engagement and Subject Liaison Librarian.
I am Dr. Jennifer Hardwick. I am a Settler Scholar of Indigenous Literatures, and I'm a faculty member in the Department of English and the Policy Studies program.
Hi everyone, my name is Carolina Enriquez, and I'm a 4th year psych student with a minor in counseling. And my direct relation with KPU is that I am a volunteer for the orientation team, and I'm also an international peer mentor. So that is my relation.
Leading up to September 30th is a very important time in not just this month of September in the year 2021, but it's a very critical time in the history of this colonial country. On September 30th, 2021 will be the inaugural National Truth and Reconciliation Day in Canada. Now, this is not just another day off for us as citizens of this country. This is a day that is meant to be geared towards deep learning, deep reflection, and a commitment to enhancing relationships between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples in this colonial state of Canada.
Truth and reconciliation. The first thing that always comes to mind for me is truth before reconciliation. I think that for many Canadians, there is time needed to kind of dwell in and unpack the truth. And it's hard to reconcile anything if you aren't engaging in the truth.
Truth and reconciliation means digging into the truths of the past, the injustices that have happened to Indigenous peoples on these lands that we call Canada now, and really trying to reconcile what that means. So both economically, socially, and culturally, how do we reconcile that as a nation?
I know that since time immemorial, truth and reconciliation had a birthplace, and it came to be that we were the victims of many, many things that were unbalanced, and truth and reconciliation has to balance everything in our lives again, once again, so that we may all live in harmony once again, just like the forefathers wanted us to be. They stood there, and we're following their footsteps when it comes to health and happiness, when it comes to our truth and reconciliation of all the peoples of North America.
So I will admit that I am skeptical about reconciliation in many ways. I think that it is a narrative that is used to position colonization as a historic phenomenon as opposed to something that is ongoing. And colonization in Canada is ongoing, and it is structural. And so I don't think true reconciliation is possible until we deal with the structures, the colonial structures. That said, I think that truth and reconciliation is an important framework for us to think about right relationships. And I've been told again and again by my Indigenous friends, colleagues, mentors, that it should be truth before reconciliation. And I think KPU has a really important role to play in ensuring that the next generation knows the truth about colonization in Canada and about Indigenous peoples' histories and cultures. And so I hope that we take this September 30th to reflect on our role in bringing that to the forefront.
To me, reconciliation really is about a relationship. I think a lot of people have this misconception that relationship is a political task, a political agenda item. But I really think that, moving forward, we as Canadian citizens need to internalize this work, that this is a relationship. And where can we, invest in a relationship? If we don't have a relationship with Indigenous peoples, then I think it's, really, that's our first sign to go and start to reflect on where we can build some relationships. We can build them with, our local universities, libraries, Indigenous communities, local cultural events like powwows, canoe races, and soccer games that we have within our Indigenous community. Another misconception I think that there is surrounding reconciliation is that it is going to be perfect. Now, there's no such thing as a perfect relationship. So if we're ever thinking that we need to just slow it down and wait for the right time will never come. So in the spirit of relationship building, please do take this time on Reconciliation Day to go forward and start to take some action.
So I've juggled and contemplated this answer, trying to come up with not the right answer, but what I felt was in my heart more than anything. And the first thing that came to mind was education.
Here at KPU, we do have this investment, this deep commitment ourselves as an organization to transform our system to be more inclusive, diverse, and respectful and honoring and reflective of the Indigenous communities that we work with, and more importantly, for the students who come here to learn.
I think it's time to really stop and examine what is being done, and examine those things that have been put in place to say, oh, we have addressed indigenization, we've done this. I think it's really important to start by recognizing that indigenization isn't a project. It's a shift in culture, it's a shift in understanding, it's a shift in instructors, faculty, management's understanding of what it means to be a Canadian, what it means for their Indigenous students in the classroom to come into a space that is still not reflecting them in a holistic way, in valuable ways.
So Truth and Reconciliation at KPU, specifically at the library, involves a lot of truth-telling and highlighting truth-telling resources. So resources such as the truths about residential schools, but also truths about the reserve system, truths about murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls, the list goes on. And so making sure that those resources are both available but also easily accessible, easily identified, and available for borrowing or electronic viewing. Those are things that are really important for us.
And I think KPU has a really important role to play in ensuring that the next generation knows the truth about colonization in Canada and about Indigenous peoples' histories and cultures.
I believe that courses, programs, workshops where we're able to sit down and listen to somebody and really listen to them, not just textbook stuff. Textbooks are great, but they're very biased. And they don't really tell everything the way it is. But if it was a different kind of classroom setting where we're able to sit down and listen to somebody that went through that stuff, I believe that would be very powerful instead of just looking down in the books and taking notes and taking tests. Because the real knowledge is through people's experiences, through people's voices.
I strongly believe that when it comes to the education part of truth and reconciliation for every student, that not only comes through our university, but all universities across Canada, all of those who are going to be searching for the truth about what has happened, what's happening now, and where we're going with education, it's going to fall into their hands, because everything that we teach you about truth and reconciliation, we're putting this on your shoulders, we're putting this on your hands, and we're asking you to walk safely with it. We're asking you to respect it. And we're asking you to, before you do anything else, to make sure that you are going to be ready for it. University is tough. University is also your strength of the future. But at the same time, your truth and your reconciliation as well is going to be the teaching tool for all of those generations that are still following in your footsteps to come and to learn and to fulfill the enjoyment of life itself. Siyam.